Before we get started, I did want to let you know that I don't have the written pattern for this, but what I did do is write down the abbreviations and the pattern in between each round for most of the video. That's why it's kind of lengthy, but it really doesn't take that long to make this doily. So I hope you enjoy, and please give a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you. So the yarn that I'm using today is 100% sport weight cotton. I purchased this online. You could probably get it at Walmart or any craft store, any type of 100% cotton yarn. This is Jubilee Yarn, Minnesota, and the color on this is Moonbeam. They have 57 colors. And you're going to need some scissors, and the crochet hook that I'm using is a size D or 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. You'll want some stitch markers possibly. I like to use them. You might not need them. Okay, you can use a paper clip or anything that will fit through the yarn. Get a small-eyed needle since this yarn is thin for weaving in the ends. And this is how much yarn I had left after doing one doily, so I could probably make another one with this, but I'm going to go ahead and open up a new ball of yarn and work with that one for this video. All right, this is what I got left. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is make a slip knot. I'm just wrapping it around 2 fingers, crossing it over, and take my crochet hook, go under that first piece, grab the second piece, just bring it through, grab the yarn, and just tighten it on the hook. Now you want to chain 5. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that we've got our chain 5, you want to slip stitch to the first chain to make a ring. So we're going to put our hook into that first chain, and we're going to grab our yarn, and we're going to pull it through that first chain, and then we're going to pull it through the loop that's on the hook as well. So there you have your slip stitch. I'm just going to tighten it up, got a little loose there, and there's your ring. There is the center of the ring. Okay, now that we've got our ring, we're going to chain 3. There's 1 and 2 and 3. Now we're going to do some double crochets inside the ring. Make sure you get the center there, and you want to pull up your yarn and go inside the center. Pull up your yarn, bring it back through. You have 3 loops on the hook, and pull up your yarn and bring it through 2 loops on the hook. Pull up the yarn again and bring it through the last 2 loops on the hook. So there's your double crochet, and I'm just going to push it over because it got a little gap there. Just push it down. As you're making these double crochets, you can continue to do that. So now I'm going to make the next one. That's my first one. We're going to make 15 altogether. Here's the second one. I pulled up the yarn, went into the center, pulled the yarn, brought it back through, pulled up the yarn, go through 2, and pull up the yarn and try that again. We all make mistakes. Yarn can be fussy. So there's the second one. We're going to do it again. Another double crochet. And I'm going to do a few more of these and then show you what it looks like. All right, so I've done 8 double crochets so far, and you can see how it looks like I'm running out of room. So all you have to do is just hold on to the ring and push some of the double crochets down to give you a little bit more room to finish up. And I want to show you how I count these. First, I count my 3 chains, which is 1, 2, and 3, and then I start to count the top, which is my double crochets. 1, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 7 and 8. So I have 8 double crochets so far, and I'm going to finish the rest and meet you back. Okay, now we have finished our 15 double crochets, and we are going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. So just put your hook in to the top of the chain 3 to do your slip stitch, and just bring the yarn through and through the loop on the hook. So now you have finished round 1. Okay, to start this round 2, we're going to chain 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and the 4th chain right there. That 4th chain is going to help us with a gap as we go around. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet in the top of the double crochet from the previous row. So I'm going to grab up the yarn and go under those 2 pieces of yarn right there on the top of that double crochet. Grab the yarn and pull it back through, and grab the yarn and pull it through 2 loops on the hook. Grab the yarn and pull it through the last 2 loops on the hook, and there is your first double crochet. We're doing 15 of these. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to go into the next double crochet. So I'm going to pull up the yarn, go underneath the 2 strands, and pick up the yarn again, bring it back through, pick up the yarn and go through 2, and pick up the yarn and go through 2, and I'm going to do a chain 1. Do it again, pick up the yarn, go under the next double crochet, the 2 pieces, bring the yarn back through, bring the yarn through 2, and through 2, and a chain 1. See how it's looking? You got a little gap in between each one. That's from doing the chain 1. So do 15 of these double crochets and a chain 1, and I will meet you at the end. All right, so we've come all the way around. We've got our chain 3, which acts like a double crochet, so it's really a total of 16, but we did 15 double crochets plus a chain 3. Let's slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. Just put your hook in, grab your yarn, and then you just want to bring it through both loops on the hook, and then that finishes your round 2. Now we can move on to round 3. Okay, so for round 3, what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the same gap that you just did your slip stitch to connect the round 2 together. So here's a closer look, and you want to go ahead and just put the hook right into that gap there, and you're going to do a slip stitch, and then we're going to do a chain 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to do the 2 double crochets in that same gap that we just started working on. Here's the first double crochet. And do 1 more. And that's, so now we have that chain 3 and 2 double crochets. Okay, now we're going to continue by doing 3 double crochets in each one of these gaps all the way around. So here's the first double crochet, second double crochet, grab that string back there. This is the second one and the third one. Sometimes the cotton yarn has a tendency to stick. Okay, so there's the 3 double crochets. So I want you to continue to do the 3 double crochets in each gap around, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, to finish off round 3, we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. So just do this like you did before. Just grab your yarn and pull it through. All right, let's start round 4 by chaining 5. There's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Okay, now that we've chained 5, what we're going to do is we're going to skip the next double crochet, and we're going to do a double crochet into the next double crochet. And then we're going to do a chain 2. So here comes the double crochet, skip that one, go into the next one, and do your double crochet. And sometimes that yarn will get twisted up, so just be careful. It'll straighten itself out. I think it's the way I hold my yarn. Okay, so see how this is creating a gap? So you want to chain 2, which is going to create your gap for the next stitch. Skip the next double crochet right there, go into the next one, and do another double crochet if I can get in there. Here we go. Okay, so I'm doing another double crochet right here. Again, the yarn has a tendency to twist on me a little bit. And I'm going to do a chain 2 again. And I'm going to go ahead and skip the next double crochet. And I will go into the next one. And I'm going to do this all the way around. So I'm finishing up this double crochet, and I will do another chain 2. And I will meet you around at the end. All right, we're going to finish round 4 by slip stitching at the top of that chain 3, just like we've done before. Go ahead and do your slip stitch. And that ends round 4. Okay, now we're going to start on round 5. We're going to put our hook inside that gap and do a slip stitch right there. Okay. And that's going to tie this in together for the 5th row. We will do a chain 3. That's 1, and that's 2, and that's 3. Okay, now what we want to do is a double crochet. We're going to do 2 of them. Pick up the yarn, go in the gap, pick up the yarn, come back through, pick up the yarn, go through 2, and pick up the yarn and go through 2. Do that one more time. Do your double crochet, which I'm sure you know how to do by now. All right, so we've got our chain 3 and we've got 2 double crochets. Now the next gap, we're going to do 3 double crochets. There's the first one. And here's the second one. And here comes the third one. Okay, so you're going to continue doing that all the way around. Just do your 3 double crochets in each gap until you come to the end. Okay, we have finished coming all the way around, and you can count your rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's another way to count them. And we're going to slip stitch at the end. So we're going to go ahead and go into the top of the chain 3. And just go ahead, put your hook in and do your slip stitch to finish off round 5. Okay, so starting on round 6, we want to chain 3. So 1 and 2 and 3. Now what we're going to do in that little grouping right there is we're going to double crochet 2 together. We want to pick up our yarn and go through the top of that double crochet and pull up the yarn and bring it back through. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You want to pull up your yarn and go through 2 loops on the hook. And now you have 2 loops left on the hook. Pull up your yarn, go into the next double crochet, the top, pull the yarn back through. Now you're going to have 4 loops on your hook. Pull up your yarn, go through 2 loops on the hook, pull up your yarn, and you go through 3 loops on your hook. Now you have this triangular shape. So you've just done a double crochet 2 together. And yes, I do have different nail polish. I had to redo this one little section. But we're going to go into the next grouping of 3, and we're going to do double crochet 3 together. Okay, so we're going to start off with a chain 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to double crochet 3 together. So we're going to pick up our yarn and we're going into the top of that double crochet. And we're going to pick up our yarn again. We're going to come back through. Now this gets twisted. You just have to pull it around so that now we will have 3 loops on our hook. You pull up the yarn and you go through 2 loops. That leaves 2 loops on your hook. Pull up the yarn, go into the next double crochet, the very top, pull up your yarn and bring it back through. All right, and bring up your yarn, go through 2. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Pull up your yarn, go into that last double crochet in that set, bring it back through. Pull up the yarn and go through 2. Now you have 4 loops on the hook, and now you're going to go through all 4 loops on that hook. Okay, and that creates another triangular shape. We're going to chain 5 again. That's 3, 4, and 5. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do this all the way around. Pull up your yarn, go into the top of that double crochet, pull up the yarn, come back through, pull up the yarn, go through 2. You have 2 loops on the hook, pull up the yarn, go into the next double crochet, pull up the yarn, come back through. You have 4 loops on the hook, pull up the yarn, go through 2, and you have 3 loops on your hook, pull up your yarn, and you go into the last double crochet of that set. And now you're going to have 5 loops on the hook, and then go through 2, and you pull up the yarn and you go through the last 4 loops on the hook. Now you might need to just go through 2 and stop, and then go through the other 2, because this yarn does seem to separate. So there you have 3 triangular shapes. All right, so now we've come all the way around, and this last double crochet 3 together, we are going to chain 2. We're not going to chain 5 at this point. We're just going to chain 2. Okay, and then we're going to connect it with a double crochet at the top of the double crochet 2 together of that previous row. So you see this is going to be right here where my thumb is pointing. Okay, so now we're going to go into that double crochet 2 together of the previous row, pick up our yarn, come back through, pick up our yarn, go through 2, pick up our yarn, and go through 2. So we've just done a double crochet to complete our round 6. Okay, so it's coming along very nicely, and we are going to start on round 7 here. So stay tuned. Okay, now we're going to start round 7, and we're going to start with a chain 1. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do a single crochet inside that gap right there. Pick up your yarn, come back through, pick up your yarn, and go through 2. Okay, so we've done a chain 1 and a single crochet. Okay, now what you want to do is a chain 6. So here's 1 and 2, 3, 4, get my yarn right, 5 and 6. Then we're going to do a single crochet into the next gap. Make sure you don't go into that same gap. We're going to do a single crochet into the very next gap. So now we're going to do our single crochet into that next gap. So go ahead and put your hook in, grab your yarn, bring it back through, and go through 2. There's your single crochet. And we're going to be doing this same pattern all the way around. But first I'm going to put a stitch marker in to recognize that first gap in this round, because the next few rounds are quite similar, and the next few rounds do work up pretty quickly, but it's hard to count the rows after that. So now you're going to chain 6 again. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go into the next gap. Right here, do your single crochet. Chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And a single crochet. Okay. And you want to do this all the way around, and what I'll do is meet you at the end when we come back to our stitch marker, and then we'll do round 8. I think it's looking pretty good. All right, so now we're going to finish up round 7, and we're going to connect it to that first little loop that we made. So the first thing we want to do is a chain 2 instead of a chain 6, and then we're going to do a triple crochet into the first single crochet. So you want to go ahead and chain 2 right here. That's 1 and 2. And then we're going to go into the top of that first single crochet right there. We're going to do a triple crochet. Wrap your yarn around twice, go inside there, pull the yarn back through, pull up the yarn, and you're going to go through 2, and then you pull up the yarn again and go through 2, and pull up the yarn again and go through the last 2. And so that keeps that same pattern going. So that is the end of round 7. I'm taking the stitch marker out, and we're going to start round 8, and we're almost finished. Okay, we're starting on round 8, and the first thing you want to do is chain 1. So we're going to chain 1 right here, and then we're going to do a single crochet inside that same gap, and then we're going to do a chain 7. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you want to do a single crochet in the next gap. Put your hook in, grab the yarn, come back through. Okay, so I'm going to get my stitch marker and put that in that first gap that we made for round 8, because these next few rounds look alike and it can get confusing. But I'm going to do one more. I'm going to go ahead and chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, do a single crochet, put your hook in, grab the yarn, come back, grab the yarn, go through the 2. Okay, meet you at the end. Okay, so we're finishing round 8, and instead of doing the 7 chains at the end on this last loop, you want to just do 3 chains before we connect it to the first loop. So do 1, 2, and 3, and now what we're going to do is a triple crochet into that single crochet that we did in the beginning. So go underneath that. First you got to wrap your yarn around twice on your hook. Then you go into that single crochet right there, and you pull up the yarn, you bring it back through, pull up the yarn, you go through 2 loops on the hook, pull up the yarn, go through another 2 loops, and you bring up the yarn and go through the last 2 loops. So now you have connected and finished off round 8. Okay? Okay, so for round 9, it's going to be a lot like round 8. We're going to go ahead and start off by chaining 1, and then our single crochet inside that same gap there. And now we're going to chain 8. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then again we go into the next gap, just like before, do our single crochet. Okay, and I want to move my stitch marker into that first gap that I just created for round 9. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out and just move that over. All right, now we're going to go ahead and chain 8 again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, a single crochet in the next gap. And you're just going to repeat this pattern all the way around. And when we come to the end, when we come all the way around, I will show you how to finish off round 9, and we'll start round 10. Okay, to finish off round 9, I just did the last gap before I connect it, and we're going to chain 3 rather than the chain 8 as we've been doing. So go ahead and do your chain 3. There's 1 and 2 and 3. Now we're going to do a triple crochet into the top of that single crochet that we first started the row with. So pick up your yarn twice, go into the top of that single crochet, there we go. Bring your yarn back through. Oops, came off. Bring your yarn back through, pull up the yarn, go through 2, pull up the yarn, go through 2, pull up the yarn, go through the last 2. There you have it. Okay, to start round 10, it's going to be similar to round 9. You chain 1, you go into that gap and do your single crochet. And now we're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9. Okay, then you want to go to the next gap just like before, do your single crochet. Okay, and I'm going to move my stitch marker up to that first loop I've just made for round 10. Just slip it in there. All right, so then you're going to chain 9 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And again, you want to do your single crochet into the next gap. And you want to continue this pattern all the way around. Got one little thread hanging there. There we go. Okay, so we will meet you at the end and finish off round 10. Okay, let's go ahead and connect this last round here, round 10, and I did do my 9 chain stitches on that last loop, and now we're just going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that single crochet that we first started with. So go ahead and do a slip stitch. Just go ahead and put your hook into the top of that single crochet, pull up your yarn, bring it through, and bring it through the loop on the hook. All right, So now we're going to move on to round 11. Okay, so in this loop right here on the left, we're going to do a slip stitch, and we're going to do a chain 1. And now inside this gap, we're going to be doing a 2 single crochets, 5 half double crochets, and then 2 single crochets. So we're going to start with our 2 single crochets. Here's 1, and let me try that again. Here's 1 single crochet, and another single crochet, and I'm going to do 5 half double crochets. So you pick up the yarn, you go into the loop, pick up the yarn, come back through, pick up your yarn, and you go through all 3 loops on that hook. I'm holding it kind of tight, it's a little bit hard. So I'm going to do 4 more of those. Pick up the yarn, go into that gap, pick up the yarn, come back through, pick up the yarn, and go through all 3 loops on the hook. Here we go. Here's the 3rd one. Fourth one. And the 5th one. And then we do our 2 single crochets. And this is going to be your finished look on the edge of this doily. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when you're done all the way around. I'll do one more for you. Probably don't need me to, but I will anyway. Here's the first single crochet, and the second single crochet, and then 5 half double crochets. Here's the first one, here's the second one, third one, and the 4th one, and the 5th half double crochet. Yarn got tangled up there. Okay. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets. I might have done an extra chain there. It looks a little bit longer. An extra chain on the previous row. But that's okay. It'll still look good. And here's 1 single crochet and the last single crochet there. Okay, so this is what your edging is looking like. Very pretty. Okay, so that one stitch, that second stitch from before, I just moved some of the single crochet stitches over so it came out looking good. But now we're going to slip stitch into the top of that single crochet from the previous row. And let me try that again. Just do your little slip stitch right here, and we're finishing off. It doesn't want me to finish. And a chain 1, and we're going to cut our yarn, and we're going to pull it through. All right, so just take your scissors and just leave a few inches and cut it. And just take your hook and pull that through. Then you want to tighten it. And then I'm going to show you how to weave it in with just a regular needle. So I just have a regular needle with a small eye. It doesn't have to be a blunt needle if you don't have one. Okay, and we're just going to do both of these loose ends and just weave them in. I'm just going to go right through here where it's kind of thick. Just pull the yarn through. And I'm just going to go back the other way or down this way. And grab some more of that yarn and just push it through. Just like so. You don't even see it. And then just cut it off and you're good to go. And you want to do the same thing with the other loose piece of yarn, just like I just did. And we'll be done. And you'll have yourself a pretty little doily. Easy to make.